Legendary designer Jony Ive, the designer of the iPhone, the iPad, the iPod, the original 90s iMac, is joining with his firm, OpenAI. So what exactly are they going to build? Welcome back to the AI Daily Brief. Some big, if not totally unexpected news. In a deal that has been telegraphed for some time, OpenAI is buying an AI device studio from legendary Apple designer Jony Ive, who will be taking over design and creative control at OpenAI. Now, they have been nibbling towards this for a while. We've covered it before. And really, for people, the big question is what they are going to build. But before we get into all the details of the deal and speculation around what's going to come from it, let's set the context, which is that, frankly, so far, AI devices have wildly underwhelmed. Although it's early days, there has already been lots of interest in devices for the AI era. And I think at core, the idea is that AI represents a fundamentally different type of interaction with computers. The relationship that we've had with computers, where we have to strictly control them and tell them exactly what to do, where we have to use our finger clicking on things as a way to control the system, all of that has been changing, and it's changing extra rapidly in an era when, plausibly, we can just talk to a device and have it understand. The two most high-profile attempts so far at an AI device are the Rabbit R1, which was a collaboration with Teenage Engineering, to try to do something really cool in the real world, have it feel a little bit retro, even as it was able to take actions on the user's behalf, and the Humane AI Pin. The Humane Pin went even farther than the Rabbit in terms of changing the form factor of devices. The Pin was entirely screenless, and was this big hunky thing you were supposed to wear on your clothes. These attempts have not gone well. Humane has been completely absorbed into a printer company at this point. The Rabbit is still a going concern, although it hasn't made any waves. In fact, at this point, Humane might best be known for Marques Brownlee's review where he called it the worst product he's ever reviewed. And while Rabbit and Humane had lots of talent from other companies that had built great products, neither of them had Jony Ive. Jony Ive has been prolific throughout the design world, but he is of course best known for his work with Apple. It started with the late 90s colorful iMac, which was of course the comeback product when Steve Jobs took over the company again. The fun, vibrant personality set the tone for Apple to distinguish itself and start to become the behemoth that it is today. From there, it was the iPod, but then, of course, that was just a stepping stone on the way to the big one, which was the iPhone. The form factor is so ubiquitous now that it is hard to remember how absolutely transformative it was.
An iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator. An iPod, a phone. Are you getting it? These are not three separate devices. This is one device. And we are calling it iPhone. Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone.
And of course, it just went on from there, the Apple Watch, the iPad, etc., etc. But it's now been more than 5 years since Jony Ive left Apple. In September of last year, the New York Times ran a profile on him and what he's been doing. All of his projects were under the banner of a design firm called Love From, and the projects have been fairly diverse. He's done a bunch in real estate. He worked with Airbnb and Ferrari. The Ferrari work, by the way, was an interesting shift, where he actually insisted on returning to physical buttons rather than simply adding as many touchscreens as possible. But then from one of those clients, specifically Airbnb CEO Brian Chesky, I've met Sam Altman. Altman and Ive started talking about products and devices in the era of AI, and apparently found a real kinship very quickly. About a year ago, the collaboration between Altman and Ive got meaningful enough that Ive spun out a new startup from Love From called IO Products that was going to be focused solely on developing hardware. OpenAI took a 23% stake in that company, and that's the company that they've now agreed to acquire in an all-equity deal valuing IO at $6.5 billion. They released a video about the announcement, hinting at what might be coming.
And so IO is merging with OpenAI.
Formed with the mission of figuring out how to create a family of devices that would let people use AI to create all sorts of wonderful things.
The first one we've been working on, I think, has just completely captured our imagination.
You know, Jony called one day and said, "This is the best work our team has ever done."
Yeah.
I mean, Jony did the iPhone. Jony did the MacBook Pro. I mean, these are like the defining ways people use technology. It's hard to beat those things. Those are really wonderful. Jony recently gave me one of the prototypes of the device for the first time to take home, and I've been able to live with it. And I think it is the coolest piece of technology that the world will have ever seen.
And yes, that is the type of enigmatic information that they are giving at this stage about what they're trying to build. The announcement itself gives no more info, other than to perhaps provides a bit of a mission statement about what they're trying to achieve. They write, "This is an extraordinary moment. Computers are now seeing, thinking, and understanding. Despite this unprecedented capability, our experience remains shaped by traditional products and interfaces." And so presumably the idea is that what they are building next is the next generation of interfaces. In one of the pull quotes from the announcement, Ive said, "I have a growing sense that everything I have learned over the past 30 years has led me to this moment. While I am both anxious and excited about the responsibility of this substantial work ahead, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be part of such an important collaboration." Again, no details, but I will say, these folks are not underhyping this thing at all. Now, in terms of the deal structure, Lovefrom will continue to operate as an independent design house, but OpenAI will absorb the 55-member staff from I/O, which includes engineers, scientists, product developers. OpenAI will also become a customer of Lovefrom, with Lovefrom receiving a stake in OpenAI. But the big detail is that Ive and his team will now lead product design at OpenAI. That means more than just a headline device, whatever it ends up being. Their influence will also presumably extend to future versions of ChatGPT, audio features, other software products. And yet still, it's very clear that this family of hardware devices is the real focus. At another part of that announcement video, Altman said, "I think we have the opportunity here to completely reimagine what it means to use a computer." Of course, the vast majority of the discussion online has been around what are they going to make. The New York Times described some of the early efforts last year as an effort to create a, quote, computing experience that is less socially disruptive than the iPhone. In their video, Altman gave the example of the current ChatGPT experience, saying that if he wanted to check something, he would need to put down his espresso, stop the conversation, pull out a laptop or a phone, and use a keyboard to consult AI. Adding, "I think this technology deserves something much better." The Verge staff compiled their predictions, which range from her-style earbuds plus puck controller to a robot dog, to a levitating orb that follows you around, to a smooth bracelet that you can talk to with no screen. Now, what's interesting is how much the form factor actually matters at all. Or more specifically, whether it's the form factor that's the core part of the device or the interactive modality. It feels almost certain that instead of pointing and clicking at a thing and looking at it, you're going to be talking to the thing. And so is the idea, and is why they're hinting at the notion of a family of devices, that it could be glasses, bracelets, necklaces, pendants, basically anything that you can wear, as long as it has the ability to listen to what you're saying. Now, aside from the obvious fact that this announcement is, even visually and referentially, positioning Sam Altman as the new Steve Jobs and OpenAI as the new Apple, it is interesting to come back to our discussions from throughout the week about the nature of AI competition. Tang Tan, the former lead designer of iPhone and Apple Watch who departed Apple last year, made the observation that his team at I/O isn't tied to a legacy and has an opportunity to rethink the space. Compare that to Microsoft and Google, who we heard from earlier this week. As much as those companies are innovating, as much as they are being creative, their AI products are ultimately tied intrinsically to their legacy products. Wall Street is judging them on how, at least initially, AI contributes to their existing revenue lines. Yes, at some point, maybe they do something new that creates a new growth business, but for now, it's all about cloud revenue. Smartphones are the great cash cow for a company like Apple, and we've seen how risky a new form factor can be. The lesson of the Apple Vision Pro, for example, might be taken that if a new product line isn't an immediate smash hit, markets will punish the company and the product will be deprecated. None of these limits apply to OpenAI. They have a completely blank slate, except for the fact that obviously they are resource constrained in the sense that even they don't have unlimited time and money, although fairly close to it at this point. When push comes to shove, I think pretty much everyone believes that there is something that will come after the iPhone. And for many, the odds on betting is that the guy who made the original iPhone might be the one to figure it out. For now, that's going to do it for today's AI Daily Brief. Appreciate you listening or watching as always, and until next time, peace